All right, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, is to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Baal Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Baal Hashem, Wakak Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go into part 2 in martial law. Alright, so this is part 2 of martial law. And we're going to go 2nd Esdras chapter 16. And let's see here. 16 verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent and are not returned again until they come upon the earth. Right, because it's like when you're at your job, you know, and your manager says, okay, you know what, we're gonna restock today, you know, we're gonna restock, or you know what, we're just gonna clean up today, you know, we're gonna clean the floor, we're just gonna do like a deep clean. All right, so if some of the other employees, if they have like different opinions, it's not gonna change the fact, because if the big boss, the main manager said, oh yeah, we're gonna clean, deep clean today, that's it, you know, that it is what it is. So, you know, that's the thing with the Lord, okay, because you know, he's bringing those plagues, so no one can stop it, you know. So imagine like your big boss at work that says, all right, look, you guys, you know, today we're gonna deep clean, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. All right, unless something happens, like, you know, emergency, or the place gets robbed or something, you know, then, you know, it might not happen. But other than that, you know, when the main manager, the boss, says, all right, we're gonna clean, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, all right, you know, that's what's gonna be. Same thing with the Lord, because the Lord said this is what's gonna happen. So all these plagues are going to happen. Behold, the plagues are sent and are not returned again until they come upon the earth. Right? Because no one's gonna turn back these plagues. Okay, nobody. You see? Alright, let's see here. Verse 15. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. The fire, right? That can be a literal fire, but also, just a fire from, you know, all these. Look what's happening right now. You know, between the U.S., Venezuela. Okay, Russia backs up Venezuela, but who's also telling America, hey, you better, you know, not attack Venezuela? China is telling America, hey, you better back off Venezuela. See? You know, then you got America going at it with Mexico, the cartels. America going at it over there with, you know, helping out Israel. You know, Iran situation. You got the Russia-Ukraine conflict. You know, now you got even American versus Americans. You know, you know, you got the leaders of a... you know, the mayor of Chicago, you know, calling out Trump, you know, so they're about to go to war with their own citizens, you see, all right, because, you know, like we told you, when ICE first started, all right, remember, when ICE first started, remember deporting the foreigners, remember that, and a lot of American citizens were like, yeah, that's right, you know, get them out of here and all that. Remember, you guys are next, okay, the American citizens. All right, the American citizens are next. All right, remember, because that's how it gets started. You know, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be so bad out here that, you know, until the people, you know, realize, wake up to smell the coffee, like, damn, our government is waging war against their own people. Okay, and by the time the people really realize that, it's going to be too late. You know, because those of you that are watching, you're seeing like, oh snap, like it's true. You know. because you'll see that the top government of America, they're straight waging war against the American people. You know, remember they're all sellouts for the New World Order, for the elites. For those of you that it's a little hard to believe, because you may be like, oh yeah, I believe in the Constitution and I know my rights. I'm an American. Remember, these leaders of America have sold out the American people. Okay, they're full-blown Satanists. We're not just, oh yeah, they're evil, you guys. No, they truly are Satanists. 100%. And so the people are gonna start to see that. Because remember, the foreigners are first. But why though? Because they're the children of Israel. All right, and that's real. Okay, the foreigners, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, are the children of Israel. Okay. Something else. You have the what is it? The foreigners. So I started with the foreigners, right? But now, remember, as that was going on, an American citizen was like, yeah, that's right, get them out of our country. Remember, the Lord told you through his prophets that, hey, what are you American citizens talking trash for? You guys are next. See? Now you guys are going to see it, because you're going to see that these leaders are waging war against the American people, next. So the American citizen is next. All right, remember, and it's not just the American citizen that are so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Everybody, the so-called white man, the so-called Asian, so-called East Indians, okay, the so-called Arabs. All right, yep. All right, the top governments are coming for everybody. All right, remember, you're not part of that global elite. You're not part of that small club. Okay, they only want a small group of people to survive. Everybody else, they want to delete them. Grandma, grandpa, children, your sister, your brothers, they don't care. They're literally gonna try to wipe out 6 billion people. Yep, it's facts. So it's gonna be all-out war out here. This is why in Daniel chapter 12 verse 1, it tells us that this is a time like never before. Okay, because this is something that this world is barely starting to realize. Okay, this is something that this world is barely starting to realize, that man, that they their own American government is coming up against their own people. But that's pretty cool right there, how that governor or mayor of Chicago, he called out Trump. He said that Trump is soft, that he's not tough, that he's not going to be scared of a wannabe dictator. That was cool right there, because at least he's showing that he's going to fight back, But that's that civil war, American versus American. And these are just the beginning stages, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's going to be a full-blown war out here. Yeah, it's just starting at Chicago. But remember, because there's a lot of people who are cool with Trump, like, yeah, that's right, crack down on him. But you got a lot of people who are like, no, we're going to fucking fight back. Excuse my Italian. So remember, it's just the fire, it's not really, because it's two ways, it's twofold, because there's going to be a literal fire from ICBMs going off, buildings on fire, but you're also going to have, just like fires, just by commotions, civil wars, you're going to have stuff like that, Yeah, it's a very, very heavy time, because you're going to have a full-blown civil war, like that movie that they came out in theaters, remember, not too long ago? I don't think it was like no more than like a year ago. All right, remember, it was fairly new, like that, Remember, America's gonna have a full-blown civil war out here, fully, where all these stores and everything out here is about to be shut down. You're not gonna be able to travel to city to city, go to amusement parks and do all that, like people do today. It's all about to be shut down, ladies and gentlemen. You know, yep. It's gonna come like in a wave, but best believe it's coming. Second Esdras chapter 16 verse 16. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Right? Okay? Shall not return again, because these plagues are not going to return. All right? Until they come into fruition. All right? The Lord's words are going to be made true. Verse 17. Woe is me! Woe is me! Who would deliver me in those days? Right? Because Ezra saw this, and he was just like, man, because there's just so much chaos, uproars, anarchy, there's so much stuff going on. Right here, all right, verse 18, the beginning of sorrows, okay, and great mournings, the beginning of famine, because people are going to be starved out here, all right, and great death, because you're actually going to see bodies drop, because you're actually going to have bullets start to fly out here, all right, because a lot of people, remember, this New World Order, okay, they have laws to take your children, all right, they have laws to take you to concentration camps, and not every person here is just going to sit back and let their families be taken. So they're going to literally fight back against the government, and it's going to be a great civil war out here, because you got a lot of shooters out here. Remember, America's not like Iraq, okay, America's not like Afghanistan, where you have a few people with AK-47s and you have people in chanclas and slippers and throwing rocks. No, okay, people here are shooters. Okay, you have a lot of people who are trained to kill here. You have a lot of teams here, a lot of ex-military, okay, a lot of people who build their own guns here. You have a lot of shooters here, all right? Come on, you got Esau. Okay, this is Esau's kingdom. Okay, you're going to have Jakes fighting too, yes. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the so-called white man versus the so-called white man. All right? And I'll tell you just like this. The so-called white man can shoot. Because who drinks beer and shoots his rifle when he gets upset? The so-called white man. Okay? You tell me the so-called white man can't shoot? Hell yeah, he can shoot. Okay? He can shoot, and he's very accurate. How accurate? He can hit a gnat off a dog's ass. That accurate. Okay? They're shooters, That's their blessing, is a gun. All right, so you imagine Esau versus Esau. Shit, it's gonna be a gun show out here. All right, because the people who are gonna fight back against the New World Order, they might not be as equipped as them, but they have good stuff too, Don't get me wrong, because you got trained people here. You have like good teams that are gonna fight against the New World Order that are well equipped. But the New World Order, they got like top technology out there, like the good stuff. And but the people who resist, they're gonna pull up one hell of a fight, because you got shooters out here, you got teams out here, you got women out there too, Remember, it's not just it's gonna be men versus men. Here in America, you have soldiers who are women. Who are trained to kill, who can shoot you too. Yep. So you don't just got men here, you got women here who, look at, you got UFC fighters that can knock people out that are women, How much more soldiers? You got soldiers here that are women that can kill you, Yeah. So you got everybody here, You got teams, spies, agents that are trained to kill, that will kill you where you stand. In a heartbeat, mi amigo, So this ain't gonna be, just, This ain't gonna be just regular, just all right. It's gonna be a little, a little, a little cat scratch. No, it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good civil war out here because you got a lot of shooters on both sides. Okay, you have good team. You have well-equipped teams on both sides. You have top-notch teams on the left-hand side that is down for the New World Order, and you got well-equipped teams that are equipped but that are gonna fight against the New World Order. See? So it's gonna be one hell of a gun show out here, like reals. See? Huh? All right. See? And the beginning, and great death, and the beginning of wars. Right. So wars, wars for survival, wars for water and food, wars on wars for just wars, for what is it? Wars just for information. Okay, you're gonna have a lot of wars going on out here. Many wars. And the power shall stand in fear. Right, because now these leaders, yes, they're upset, they're in war mode, like, yeah, they're saying, like, F it. Like, these leaders around the world, they're not taking no crap, because these leaders, they're all disrespecting each other, they're like, no, F you, no, F you, no, F you, So, yeah, these leaders at the same time, they're mad, they're in war mode, but at the same time, they're standing in fear because, when you prepare for war, yes, you're angry, you're like, yeah, bring it, but at the same time, you're calculating, because it's not just like a regular fight where, all right, let's just throw down real fast. In war, people die. So you have to think about your soldiers, you got to think about yourself, your family, you got to think about your people, your citizens. So there's a little like fear there, because in war, yeah, you're ready, but you have to be like, of course you got people out there that are crazy, that are, they're gun hungry and they're bloodthirsty, but there's still that fear, like, oh shit, because you have to. There's a mind state of readiness, all right, because when there's war, you got a little fear there, because yeah, you got people out there that they're frontliners and straight killers, but you got to be ready, because it's either in war is you kill or you be killed. That's it. So there's a mind state of readiness, that is upon these leaders, like fear, So it doesn't mean that they're walking around with their tail up their ass. It just means because they're like, oh shit, because they really have to take things seriously. They really have to take in consideration, oh damn, shoot, my we're about to go to war, so they have to, count the cost, see, okay, if we attack them, if they attack us, are we ready? Do we got our underground bunkers ready? So all this is going to fruition right now, because when these nations and leaders go into war, all right, they don't just go like, all right, let's go, F you, all right, let's go. No, you have to, there's a lot of calculations. There's a lot of planning that has to happen, a lot, you see? And the power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils, bad times. Because these nations are like saying, okay, well, we're cutting off your food supply. They're putting sanctions. So these nations, yes, are at the same time, they're mad with each other. They're ready to go to war with each other, but at the same time, they're getting hurt. They're getting injured because now their economy is getting messed up. There's a lot of stuff happening. They're not getting the same shipments of their food. Okay, all that stuff. Okay, all that stuff is happening. You see? All right. So, what shall I do when these evils come? Because Esdras saw this. Okay, Esdras was like, man, how am I going to survive this? See? All right. Behold, famine and plague. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. All right, because yeah, this is all coming from the Lord. All right, because the wicked are about to receive their judgment. Verse 20. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of their scourges. Yeah, because with all this going on around the world, people are still not considering this, you know? They're still not like, all right, let me change my ways and, get right with the Lord. There's a lot of knuckleheads out there that are like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep doing it because this is what I do, So all this happening around the world, with all these signs happening around the world, you still got people like, oh, well, I'm not even going to change it. Like, they're not even considering it, They're just like, oh, well, whatever. I'm just going to keep doing me. Verse 21. Oh, this is very important right here. Check it out, because this is what's happening right now. All right. Second Esdras chapter 16, verse 21. All right. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. Victuals means like your grocery stores, your basic essentials that you guys need in your everyday life, as paying for your kids, your children's school, okay, to buy books, to buy sweets, to buy snacks, to buy your meats, your vegetables. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but you guys are still able to haggle with it. You're still able to get by. You're like, yeah, things are kind of going up, but people can still make a living. So that's victuals, your everyday, stuff like gasoline, okay, milk, water, groceries, clothes for your kids, for school, clothes for yourself, your wife, your husband, okay, that's victuals. Because things right now that you need, your everyday, your usual everyday, like, yeah, gas is a little bit pricey, but, you're still able to, you're able to get by. You're able to deal with it because it's not too crazy where like, hey, I can't even, I can't do anything, okay? Because yes, prices are a little pricey right now, but you're able to, the majority of people out here, they're getting by, They may be a little bit struggling, but, they're getting by somehow, some way, they're managing. See, so that's victuals. Victuals are your, your everyday, consumption, your average, your groceries, go buy, go to 7-Eleven, buy, wherever, go to Sprouts, Ralph's, whatever it is. Put your, you put your kids in sports, your children in sports, you buy them some snacks, some juices because they're thirsty. That stuff, what I'm saying? You go to the mall, you go to the movies. Yeah, damn, popcorn's a little pricey, but hey, you go out every once in a while. See, because, it's a little pricey, but you guys can still do it. So that's victuals, what I'm saying? So that is victuals right there, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Right. Because right now, how everything's just kind of, happy wife, happy life. Everyone's going about their lives. They're doing their things. They're putting concrete in their houses. They're building patios. They're looking forward to retirement. They go to work. They got their Starbucks. Everything's still open. They're still doing. Everybody's still doing their thing. All right. So people right now that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, right? Because those of you that are watching, like, oh shit, it's about to go down. But the majority of people out here they think that, oh yeah, ain't nothing gonna happen. Come on, we got Netflix, I got the AC, I got the 70-inch plasma, smart flat screen. I'm doing big things. I got the brand new Acura on the driveway. Shoot, I'm doing well. I'm living large. You see? So people are like, yeah, people are doing good, So people are like, yeah, I got a raise. Yeah, I'm doing well. You know what I'm saying? So people are, have that mind state, yeah, everything's gonna be okay, like, yeah, it's fine, things are happening, but we're making the best of it, See, people kind of have that mind state, like, yeah, it could be worse, like, yeah, we're just grateful for what we have, what I'm saying? All right, so people, this is very important. that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, because the people are assuming that they're in a good case, but they're not. You got war. We're surrounded by UN troops. You got sleeper cells all throughout here. Okay, and even then, shall evils grow upon the earth, bad times. Because right now, what? As you, it almost seems like every week, America's going to war with somebody else. Because these bad times, these wars, they're just growing. Trump's not putting these fires out and bringing peace. He's bringing hell on the earth. Hey, he's going to war with everybody. He's saying, fuck it. If you're not down with us, we'll take everybody on. And that's why we're watching. Because America's Roman Empire 2.0. Remember how the ancient Roman Empire fell? Okay, it's because they were too spread thin. They had to put out too many fires. Okay, because yes, remember, America is a very strong military. Okay, don't even play. Let's not play games. America is a very strong military, but you can't fight everybody at once. Everybody at the same time. So that's the mentality of America. Like, oh, well, fuck it. If you're not cool with us, we'll fight everybody. And that's exactly what the Lord's doing. The Lord's raising up the whole world to come up against America. See, even Mexico and Canada, they're not taking your shit. They're not taking America's shit. They're like, fuck it. To the whole world, they're coming up against America. Even America's allies in NATO. Yep. They're tired of this whole America. See? Because America has been treating people like trash. So people are like, they're fed up. They're like, you know what? We're tired of this. We're tired of America, This shit is not cool no more. So people, they're joining forces. They're like, yeah, we're going to jump this. We're going to jump America. And this is what you see, for those of you that are watching, that's happening right now around the earth. Okay, this is exactly what we're witnessing right now, live. You see? All right. Even then shall evils grow upon the earth. All right. The sword. So there's more wars. Sword just means represents military wars, because there's going to be a race war. Because not only is it going to be a civil war, but the Lord, He's stirring up the so-called white man to hate the Israelites again. That ancient hatred that they always had. Remember, like in the 1800s. Okay, the early 1900s, when they're hanging the Israelites on the trees and all that. All right, hanging us and burning us. Okay, that's about to come back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, because the so-called white man, the true Edomites, they hate the Israelites. It's a true hatred that goes all the way back to Jacob and Esau. It's an ancient hatred. Okay, why do you think they always, they call us the N-words and all that? But why do you think that is? Okay, why do they hate us so much? But why? Okay, because the so-called Africans, shit, they're darker than us. They're just as dark as us. The so-called Arabs, the so-called East Indians that own all these 7-Elevens, they're just as brown as us. So how come they're not, how come they don't got a problem with them? Because they're not the children of Israel. See? Because it's an ancient hatred that goes back, way back, to when Isaac and Rebekah had Jacob and Esau. You see? It's an ancient hatred, ladies and gentlemen. Verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. Man. Did you guys hear that out there? All right. Let's read that again. Okay, so right here, for 2nd Esdras chapter 16 verse 22, for many of them. So there's gonna be a lot of people out here, more. So it doesn't say a little less than half, many. So there's gonna be so more than 50% of people out here are gonna starve to death. So a lot of people are going to get, gunned down, hauled off to concentration camps. But the majority of people out here are about to starve to death. Because remember, there's a lot of mouths to feed out here. All right. And be honest, how many grocery stores are around your cities? See, so imagine when the trucks stop, how much, how many people can one grocery store feed? Okay, look at how many apartments there are, how many houses. Okay, these elites just pack everybody in these cities like sardines. You know, there's so many people here. Okay, you even have animals. You have dogs, cats. They're hungry too. Shit, you know, you have a lot of mouths to feed. All right, and look at how many grocery stores there are. So just imagine when there's no trucks coming in. That's all you guys got. Okay, just look around. How many fruit trees do people have? Okay, how many farms are there around here where there's animals, livestock? Don't worry, I'll wait. Just take a look around your city. Okay, all you see is nothing but stores. Okay, you might see a cafe here, maybe a grocery store over there, a gas station. You know, that's it. And you see cafe stores, lattes, a park. You know, a barber shop, a salon, a mall where people can just spend money. But where is their food at? Where is their resources for water? See, because when the Civil War breaks out, you know, some of you may say, "Well, I'm just gonna drink the tap water." Okay, that's gonna be cut off. You're not gonna be able to drink water from like your sink, because yeah, there's fluoride in it, but you can still drink. Like right now, if you had to like drink water, you can drink your water hole's water. Yeah, it's a little bugged out. There's a little fluoride, but shit, if you needed to, you can drink a little bit. You know what I'm saying? To survive. You know, it's not gonna kill you. Yeah, it's a little bugged out. It may irritate your throat, but it's not gonna kill you. Remember, there's pumps that run all that water. So in the time of Civil War, you're not gonna have no running water. You're not gonna be able to go to your water holes and turn it on, turn on your bathtub, your shower, your sink. None of that's gonna work. See that? So whatever people have right now, that's it. And you're gonna have to survive. And you see how Trump he's going to war with his own people? Okay, remember, they're going to starve everybody out. Okay, they're gonna stop the truck supplies and the food on purpose. And remember, Bill Gates and all these elites, they bought up all the farmland. So you can't go to these farmers and team up, because they're owned by the elites too. Remember, these elites have the people completely surrounded. They own everything. Everything. All right, there's a very few people out there that have, you know, a few chickens and, you know, a few cows and stuff like that. But that's the few. Okay, the majority of people out here rely on these grocery stores. It's a very, very, that famine, man, it's gonna be very gruesome out here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give them an aqua. Second Esdras chapter 16 verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, because more than 50% of people that you see out here in these neighborhoods, in your communities, is going to starve to death. Old people, men, women, and children, and animals, because people have dogs and cats. People have birds. You know, people have, you know, pets. You know, people have reptiles. Yep. Yeah, there's, you know, people have stuff like that, pets and stuff. Yeah, you know, because they're gonna starve too. Yep. And the other that escaped the hunger, the sword shall destroy. Shall the sword destroy. Because you got UN troops here, you have sleeper cells and militias that are gonna be going around like that movie The Purge, and are gonna be gunning people down. Because it's gonna be all lawlessness out here. Okay, because when there's no more food coming in, there's gonna be a complete uproar of the cities, and people are literally just gonna kill one another. You know, they're gonna be going house to house, killing people. You know, so if you don't have a team, you know, if you don't have, like, this is the people that are not covered by the Lord. Because if you're covered by the Lord got you. The angels are gonna feed you and protect you. But those of you that are not, you know, if you don't have some type of team of some type of weapon, you will be slaughtered to death. Okay, whatever the enemy does when they capture you, shoot, you know, I'll let your guys' imagination do the rest. Okay, so when your enemy catches you, they're not going to be nice. Okay, they might eat you, grape you. Who knows? But it's really going to be survival to the finish out here, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see it. It's coming. That wave is coming. Trump told you himself, it's the calm before the storm. That storm is coming. You see? And the dead shall be cast out as dung. So the dung represents like when you have a dog and it's not potty trained, like a good sized dog, like like a good sized, like, mid-sized dog. It's a good sized dog, it's gonna go, number two all over the backyard, like all over the place. That's how these bodies are gonna be. These bodies are gonna be just laid out here because you're not gonna have no EMS. You're not gonna have no firefighters. You're not gonna have no police officers, no sheriffs. All right, because they're gonna be home trying to protect their families, fighting for their lives. All right, yeah, it's gonna be that much of war out here. And there shall be no man to comfort them. Yeah, because you're not going to be able to call 911 for help. Okay, because even the American military are going to be fighting off the Russians, the Chinese. The American military is going to be fighting the American military. You're going to have the American military go against the American military. Facts. See? All right? You're going to have a lot of people out, going at it, Not only that, but, you're going to have the American military trying to fight off these foreign troops that are here. Because there's millions here. All right, China and Russia, they're in here deep. Okay, you have a lot of Arabs here too. But China, man, we're talking millions. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the land over here in the West is owned by the Russians and the Chinese. Facts. Yep, because no Americans, you guys don't own your properties. Because you may have, you may say, oh yeah, this is my house, this is my land. No, it's not. This is why you pay property tax. Because you don't really own it. Okay, you may think that you own it, but this is why you pay property tax. Because you don't own that land. Okay? That land, unless you have something called the lodial title, then you truly own that land. But over here, a lot of the land is owned by the Russians and Chinese. And a lot of people don't even know that. Okay, the ports is ran by mostly foreigner companies. It's mostly ran by foreigners. See that? So can you see how easy the invasion is going to be? How easy it is to just sneak in sleeper cells in America? You see? All right, so it's going to be very, very detrimental to America once Russia and China, North Korea and Iran, they make their move, because they're in here deep and they control a lot of stuff here. All right? Yeah. Because America, their military, they don't just run everything here. A lot of stuff here is ran by foreigners. Okay, the ports, everything that everything that you see, everything that people buy, at these stores, like your plates, your storage goods, everything, almost everything is made in China. Okay, when you buy toys for your kids, everything is pretty much almost made in China. See, to show you that China and Russia, they have a lot of power here, a whole lot, more than people know. All right. Because people may think like, oh yeah, no, America, controls everything here. No, they don't. All right, this is something that a lot of people don't know. All right, Russia and China have a lot of power here. There's a lot of foreign military and power here. Right underneath America's nose. Right here, right inside their own house. And they're preparing to overthrow it. Can you imagine? that there's millions of sleeper cells already here in America, plus they're gonna invade America, you know, then you're gonna have America fighting these wars all around the world. And not only that, America fighting against America. See? And those of you that are counting the cost, you still think America's gonna rule forever? So you think they're just gonna fight everybody all around the world, take on everybody at the same time they're being set up right here? The leaders, okay, the leaders of America. Donald Trump sold out the American people. Okay, he's for the New World Order. He's a full-blown Satanist. All right. So not only do you have sleeper cells here that are trying to invade America and overthrow America, because they will invade. You have the top leaders here that are full-blown Satanists, that they sold out the people. So you have the American leaders that sold out America. You still think America's not finished? America's finished. Once things get going, it's through. It's done. It's completely done. This place has been completely surrounded on all sides. Because, it's not like America has strong leaders and, oh, no, the leaders here, yeah, you have people that are strong in the military, yes, but the top leaders, okay, they sold the American people out. Okay, Biden, Kamala, Trump, they're all for the New World Order. They're all on the left-hand side. They're all puppets for the international bankers, starting with the Rothschilds, Rockefellers on down. See? So when you start looking at that, you still think America's going to rule forever and America's never going to go down? America's going to go down, and America's going to go down fast. They're being completely surrounded on all sides. Second Esdras chapter 16 verse 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, because there's no one going to bury these bodies, because if you're not going to have time to give your family members, your friends, your partners a proper burial, because if you stop moving, you're going to be killed, So, you may break down and cry for a couple seconds, but that's it. Eventually, your teammate's going to pick you up and drag you inside your house or wherever. Drag you behind the car, because there's going to be bullets flying out here. So you're not going to have time to be like, no, like my brother, my mom, my sister, my boyfriend, my husband, So you're not going to have time to cry like that, Yeah, you may shed a tear, break down for a little while, but if you stay there too long, you will die. Because it's gonna be, all these cities are literally gonna be killing each other. Every man, for himself, except for those of you that are in teams. For reals. You see? For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. So the whole earth's gonna be wasted, because the whole world is gonna be at war. All right, and the city shall be cast down. See, so that's it on part 2 on martial law. Okay, and we'll go into part 3, because there's still a lot more meat that that we got to get into. So with that, stay in the spirit, all right, and trust in the Lord, and pay attention, stay locked in. All right, don't get too distracted now. All right, remember, you can still have a good time, but just be circumspect. Be aware of your surroundings, Don't just be out there careless, Remember what time we're in. Yes, go out, have a good time, Take care of your families, take care of yourself, air out, what I'm saying, from the rat race. But at the end of the day, find that balance. Okay, find that balance. And, don't get too distracted, where you forget that you're surrounded by sleeper cells, foreign troops, that war is literally going on all around the world, So, enjoy yourself, but, don't get too comfortable now. So, pay attention, you see? So with that, shalom on your feet, soldier. Shalom.